Alright, yeah, and welcome back to some more Magic Duels with our Wizard Tribal deck. So, since the previous episode, I have made a few changes. I mostly changed stuff around because I felt it was a little too focused on Willbreaker and was turning into more of a Willbreaker deck than a Wizard Tribal deck. So, I've kind of tried to swap that around a bit and we've ended up cutting her out. So, I'll show you what changes we've made. Most of our removal and interaction spells were target based and they were like tap target creature or stuff like that, and they just weren't as effective as they should be. So we've swapped things around and we've turned this into a little bit more of a control based deck. So the things that have changed is mostly the same, except for we've got stuff like Imprisoned in the Moon. I'm not sure why I didn't have this card in the deck to begin with because it's awesome. So 2 and a blue, Enchantment Aura. You can enchant a creature, land or planeswalker, and that permanent becomes a colourless land with add 1 colourless mana to your mana pool and loses all other card types and abilities. So one thing this deck was going to struggle with, and it was quite obvious, was non-creature based decks and Super Friends. So it really needed a little bit of a swap around just to sort that out, because against creature-based decks, this would pretty much just steamroll them because everything was built around that kind of that strategy. But against everything else, it was absolutely weak, and I think it needed that little bit of a balance. So we've added in cards like this. We've cut a little bit of our creature targeting for more permanent targeting stuff anyway. So moving on. We've also added a few extra counter spells. We've got Spell Shrivel in here as well. 2 and a blue, instant speed, Devoid. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 4, and if that spell is countered, it gets exiled instead of putting it into your graveyard. So, went a little bit more control, made sure that since we have fewer win conditions in the form of our Willbreakers going, but our Docent of Perfection sticking around, we wanted to make sure that we kept them around. So when the Docent of Protection comes down, we want to make sure we have a counter spell in hand at all times, essentially. So this has just increased the odds of that happening. Angelic Purge, 2 and a white. We've gone down, I think actually we've stayed the same amount actually. But we sacrifice permanent, we exile target artifact, creature or enchantment. So we're quite versatile in our removal spells. We've cut down on 1 Royal Spout. And we've gone up 1 Separatist Void Mage so that we have more wizards. And we have 3 comparative analysis for that extra card draw. I think this was a 2, I'm not quite sure. But now it's a 3. And now we have Disciple of the Ring, one of the powerful wizards in the format. 3 and 2 blue, human wizard. 3/4. You can pay 1 and exile an instant or sorcery from your graveyard and choose one of these. So she can either be a counter spell, she can pump herself up, she can tap her opponent's creatures, or ours. I don't see why we would do that. Or untap one of our creatures, or theirs. Yet again, don't see why we'd do that. But she's really versatile in that sense. We do have a lot of instants and sorceries in this deck, so she should be able to use her spells a lot. So at turn 5 as well, if you get her down on turn 6 perhaps, then you can still actually protect her with the counter spell that she's got available, so long as your opponent doesn't play a really small counter spell anyway. And then we have our win con, the Docent of Perfection. So we're going to focus entirely on this one in this build, and I think it's better off for it. So we get our tokens. We want to get work against board wipes as well, which is why we wanted to get rid of Willbreaker really, because Willbreaker, you'd try to focus on stopping them from attacking her, whereas in this deck you want to focus on having your entire board wiped. So we've added in an extra planar outburst, so a lot of you mentioned that we should probably add in another board wipe, and it was absolutely true, we just couldn't find a spot for it. But since the new shift and change in management, as it were, we are able to have another board wipe, so we've got 2 of these now. And then finally, we've got Jace, Unraveler of Secrets. 3 and 2 blue, 5 loyalty planeswalker. The +1 allows us to scry and draw a card, so it's card advantage. Wonderful. The -2 is the wizard in spell of choice. Return target creature to its owner's hand, so it's pretty much doing what we used to do. And then the ultimate, which would absolutely seal the deal for us, especially with the Docent of Perfection down. You get an emblem whenever an opponent casts his or her first spell each turn, counter that spell. So if we can ultimate and get a Docent of Perfection down, then we're pretty much untouchable. Then it takes him 3 spells with our counter spells in our hands to get rid of whatever's on our board, which is awesome. And then the mana base is exactly the same, though I do consider maybe... Actually, you know what? Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to go down 1 plains, and we're going to go up 1 island, and we're going to skew it like that a little bit more. Mostly because we want our double blues in the 3rd turn, and the 2nd turn as well. So we only need double white for 1 single card, and that's all the way up at 5 mana. So as long as we have 1 white mana, we should be fine. So I think that's how we're going to go with it. Alright guys, I shall see you in the games for some more Wizard Tribal. See you in a sec. Okay, we're in. We're on the draw. We have more white than we'd want. Counter spells, board wipes, harbingers. I think we can do better. That is a little better, I suppose. Still have the double white, which we don't want. Our opponent is, rank 1, Montos. I assumed mono green with that avatar, but might be white weenie. It's not technically indicating a beginner though, due to the fact that all the ranks get wiped. Oh, that's annoying. We do have a ton of counter spells to hold up for our docent though. So bear that in mind. It's green-white aggro then, I'm assuming. He's going to put a counter on his Suntail Hawk. Yeah, there's a 1/1 counter. And he's going to get in for 2. That is fine. Well, at the very least, we have an Imprisoned in the Moon if he ends up overextending onto a creature counter-wise. He could be trying to go for a counter-based strategy, I suppose. There's no 2-drops, so we might as well put the Meandering River down. Then we'll be able to hold up our counter spells for the next 3 turns, which is nice. I'd like to see a board wipe though, because I wouldn't like to counter things as puny as this. Oh, please put another one on the Suntail Hawk. Oh, thank God. That's amusing. Alright. We might end up imprisoning that Suntail Hawk in the moon. Feels like a bit of a waste, but he seems to be focusing on it quite heavily. So it could slow him down quite a fair whack. From 5 damage to 2 per turn. We'll see what he does next turn. Jace. Yeah, we'll get the Jace down. And then we'll see what he does next turn. If he does something extra to that Suntail Hawk, we'll remove it from the game. If not, then who knows. We get to start looting with Jace though, which means we get to start finding the cards that we really want to see. Like the board wipes, because this guy's overextending. Oh yes, please put it on the Suntail Hawk. Please put it on the Suntail Hawk. Go on, do it. You know you want to. Yeah, he's going for the 1/1 counter. Oh, it's the 1/1 counter on him. Never mind. Yeah, forgot. I thought you could put it on something else. Never mind. Yeah, this is a counter-based strategy, so should expect there's a 5-drop that makes all your creatures unblockable by more than 1 creature as long as they've got a counter on them. Can't remember its name. That's something I expect to be showing up soon. Okay, we're in a little bit of a worrisome state now though. Could really do with a board wipe. That is not a board wipe, but that does help, since we can throw that guy down, bounce his Hawk. That gets rid of 3 damage next turn. Yep. And stops him attacking him with his 1/1s. So we'll see what he does with this. I might even just trade off with the Inoc Guide. He's playing his Hawk again. Okay. Anything else, sir? Anything at all? Nope. Alright. Is he going to swing with everything? just the... Okay, we'll take 2 and we'll block these 2. Trade off with one of them, hopefully, anyway. See what he does. Primal Bellow. On which one? Probably the one that is blocking Jace? No? Okay. That's fine. Come on, board wipe. We're being aggroed out here. Yep. Let's loot with Jace. We get a land. Let's drop ourselves a broken concentration into the graveyard. And a Disciple of the Ring. Play the Prairie Stream first. He hasn't shown us any removal. So let's play out the Docent of Protection. Perfection, sorry. Could keep saying protection. Yeah, well. Okay, so if he tries in with his Suntail Hawk, we know that he's got a pump spell. And we already know that he's got Primal Bellows, which as it stands is a +2/+2. And now he's dropped them down somewhat. What's this do? And it's a battlefield. Look, top 4 cards of your library, reveal a creature from among them, put it in your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Okay. Let's get in the Woodland Patrol, 3/2 Vigilance. Okay. That was suspicious. Right, let's loot with Jace. We get ourselves another counter spell. We'll drop that one into the graveyard, I think. That one's reducing its likelihood of success as we continue. Okay. So we can... drop down a Disciple of the Ring with 1 mana open to counter non-creature spells unless he pays 2. We can also tap creatures down. Yeah, let's try and do that. If we cast an instant or sorcery now, we will flip the Docent and we will be able to get over his head for more damage. So we can bear that in mind. This doesn't count as a cast though, obviously. Let's hold back because we are on quite low health and he has got quite the wide board. And we're likely going to have to do some blocking here. So, what does our opponent do? Chorus of Might. We are going to... Oh my god, that screen. We're going to count a non-creature spell unless you pay 2. And discard the Spell Shrivel. No spell for you, mister. And he's only got 2 forests, which means his Primal Bellow can only give his Suntail Hawk +2/+2. Prey upon. Kill our Jace. Yeah, okay, well let's get one last loot in. Let's see. How much land have we got? 2, 4, 6. Yeah, we'll drop the land. We've got 2 counter spells open now. Is he going to get in with anything? We've got perfect information, so we can block everything, knowing exactly how it blocks. This guy's death effect is only while casting emerge spells. He's coming in with everything. Okay. Right, so we'll get rid of his only flyer. We'll get rid of his 2/2 and we'll take 3. Alright. So we're set to take 1 damage minimum next turn. With the state of the board as it is. What do we draw? Come on, something decent. Harbinger of the Tides. Harbinger's pretty good. It does mean that he gets an extra counter off his Timberland guide, but I think that's fine. If we focus him down on a fewer creatures, then we're all good. Oh, but we've dropped down our counter spells. That was actually a mistake. We have one in the graveyard for Disciple of the Ring. Interesting. Let's get him for 5 with the Docent. Hold back the rest. Kinda wish we hadn't played that Harbinger now. Could have just held up counter spells instead, which would have actually got us some creatures anyway. Creatures that are good enough to block these. Okay, so he gets his Timberland guide, probably puts it on the other Timberland guide, I'd imagine. Yeah, there we go. That is a creature spell, so we cannot counter that. Alright. Void Mage. We can't cast you without dropping down our counter spells either. This turn he swings in with everything. We block this guy with our Docent, that guy there, that guy there. We take 1. Any special combat tricks or anything like that, we scatter to the winds and all of our creatures get bigger. Yeah, that looks good to me. So let's just hold up our counters for whatever card he may have in hand. That is something that I might as well counter. Let's go with Broken Concentration, since we might want to awaken in the future perhaps. And now we have a massive board. Very, very ready to murder. Do you want to attack me now, sir? That's 11, 15. We have lethal in 1 turn. Just because he played a card. This is what I wanted from the Wizard Tribal deck, and that's what we've got. So I'm very, very impressed with our new changes to the deck. I think it's a lot better than it is. Though we are playing against, I think it is officially a rank 1 person. That's telling time. Let's get ourselves a blocker. On the event that we lose. Reflector Mage and the land. Why not? Right, anyway, let's swing in with everything. For the victory, because he has no flyers and no reach. GG! Alright guys, I'll see you in the next game. Alright, we're in. We're on the play. We can't take this, it's too slow. Yeah, I suppose we can do this. We have the double blue. For our Harbinger, we can get Jace down next turn if we choose. If we get a land, then our other 2 cards come online, and we've got a board wipe if the crap hits the fan. Alright, our opponent's on black-white with a couple more cards in his deck than he should. He's actually rank 5 called Karn. Alright. I haven't managed to do a great deal of grinding. I've been mega busy recently, so I'm only rank 14, but still. Let's just get Jace down. Start doing our thing. Because I'd like to just continue to hit lands, so I might even drop these Royal Spouts into the graveyard. Calastria Healer, so this is black-white, life drain. Okay. Bear that in mind. So he's got a few vampires in there that are going to gain some counters the longer he gains life. So these roll spouts are actually quite useful in stopping stuff like that. We'll just pass the turn over. We'll loot on his turn. That way we get to block 1 damage. Because it makes a massive difference, guys. There you go. Serene Steward. So we'll allow him to think that he's getting some value out of that. He has to dip a lot of mana into it as well. Oh god, he gets to put a counter on anything, doesn't he? Oh dear. Yeah, I forgot about that. Alright, we won't be blocking with Chase then. Alright, then we'll loot. We get a Spell Shrivel. Well, we can play the Harbinger to drop his healer back into his hand. Which actually just gets him a trigger. I don't know. I'll drop a Royal Spout. Why not? We have a lot of creature bounce. And we can't cast that one in particular. Oh, now we can. Typical, isn't it? Whenever you gain life, you may pay 1. If you do, put a counter on the target creature. Right, okay. So no matter which one I bounce, he gets that trigger. And he probably does the same maneuver. If we play the Harbinger to block the Serene Steward, he puts the counter on that instead. Which makes that a 1-2, which means it's better to block every other creature. And it's better target for the Angelic Purge. We don't want to sacrifice a permanent just yet, so I don't really want to do that. Let's loot with Jace now. Let's see what we get. Another land. We kind of do want to build up lands. Let's get rid of the Angelic Purge. It's really hurtful to us right now. And then we'll slow down his draws by bouncing one of these guys. That one, I think. If he comes in and attacks with that guy, we can still bounce it back to his hand. So I imagine he goes and puts another counter on it. And if he does... I spread it. Good. Good job, sir. Good job. Alright. Well, we're getting close to our planar outburst. And we'll probably have flipped Jace by then, which means he'll be out of the danger zone. That's nice. Angelic Purge. Officially, it's nice. Now that we have 4 mana. Right, I think we'll Harbinger away his Calastria healer, and then we'll loot looking for another land with Jace. It'd be nice to keep these counters open, but I think they're more useful to us when we've got our docent out. Okay, so loot with Jace, try and find another land. See if he plays 2 healers or something like that. If he does, then our planar outburst becomes amazing. Probably not. I imagine he just goes and puts a counter on his healer. Yeah. And swings him for 3. That's fine with me. You don't swing him with anything. That's disturbing. And there's our land. Let's get rid of a Spell Shrivel. Glacial Fortress down. So we can flip Jace, blow up the board. And then we can docent after that and then just hold up counters and removal. What do we think he's got in his hand though? That's the question. Right, I'll swing him with my Harbinger. I think we're going to go for the board wipe plan. See if he wants to take this 2 damage. He does. Wonderful. So we flip our Jace. We get a broken concentration. Let's drop one of the counters down. Can't cast it, of course. Oh, it went into exile, so he doesn't flip. Oh, that's annoying. It's really annoying. Well, instead, this guy becomes a 6/5, so he can survive a Languish, but not a Planar Outburst. Oh, that's really annoying. Alright, we'll pass the turn over then. We'll flip Jace next turn. We'll hold up a counter spell instead. I never actually ran a Jace into that kind of issue. Discard it into exile, yeah. So this says that there's 4 cards in when the ability ends up resolving. Why is he not attacking? I don't understand. Alright, well, loot with Jace. Let's drop the Void Mage, since we'll be bouncing all of his creatures away. Destroying all his creatures, should I say. Play the land. Attack him with our Harbinger. You don't want to block, you'll lose some life. And then blow up the board. Goodbye, board state, sir. Hopefully with the size of his deck, we should see some inconsistency now, which might help us win the game. Another healer. Okay, that's fine. We should be able to clear out the game before then. He's getting there though. He's doing work. That's nice. So we want to bounce this guy. Nope, we want to tap this guy down apparently. Got that the wrong way around. Still don't want to run this guy into any sort of removal, so we'll reflect a mage, which is a decent blocker for both of them. And then we'll drop his healer back into his hand. He can't cast it next turn. And we'll pass the turn over. Once Jace is at 9, we might ultimate him, I guess. I mean, it's not a good idea by any standards, so we probably just want to keep plussing him until we want to get a spell out of our graveyard. Handwear Militia Captain. Yeah, that's fine. Core Blade Whirl. Might even minus Jace to Planar Outburst, to be honest. We'll see how that plan goes. So he's going to gain 2 life. I know. Maybe not. Probably on our end step, though. That is probably his plan. What's the likelihood of removal? No, I'm not making the same mistake as I did before. We're going to stay patient. So we know he's got a Calastria healer and then 4 other unknowns. Jace is going to come under quite a fair bit of attack. Beginning of your upkeep if you have 4 or more creatures. Okay, so that isn't flipping on his turn or on the end of ours. So there's an Imprisoned in the Moon set aside for that little bagger, but not until it's actually a big creature do we actually care. Instance, we could minus to Royal Spout something on top of his library with Jace. That would slow him down. Which would buy us some time, I suppose, and then we can have another Planar Outburst when it suits us. Yeah, let's do that. So, we can cast this card. Actually cast it with Awaken. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's put the militia captain onto his top of his library, and then we'll get a 3-3, or is it a 4-4 actually? It's 4-4, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, he's gonna gain 2 life. We're gonna hold back with our reflector mage, so that Jace only takes 2 instead of 4, potentially anyway. Coming at the Jace. Right, we're gonna block 1. We'll block the one that gives him first strike. Can't be having combat tricks, can we? Gives it +1/+1 and does stuff like life linking. That's annoying. Not the end of the world though. That's a combat trick out of his hand. And we have a Jace. Unraveler of Secrets. We can't play this because it will kill the other Jace though. So let's just minus one of his creatures. Should we imprison in the moon the other one? Calastria Healer's coming down next turn. Could Angelic Purge his War Cleric, but we lose a land in doing so. Or we could just do nothing, and he could try get past us. I think doing nothing is the answer here. You've shown no signs of a board wipe, but we haven't shown any sign of a board presence worth wiping. So it's going to gain 2 more life. 33 life. It's not the end of the world. We can still beat that. As long as we have the docent out, we can continue to produce more and more damage as the game goes on. Okay, well, we're going to wipe the board now. No doubt about that. You won't attack him with anything, will you? Nope. Okay. And we have another land. We've been waiting on you. Still not there in the docent race. So let's planar outburst so that our land can get in some damage. It's going to gain 2 life before he loses it all. It's fine with me. Plus the one, the Jace finish. Let's not target anything, and we'll get him for 4 damage. And start making some waves. Okay. So the only thing that's getting this out is hard-casted removal like Angelic Purges, or even... Oh dear, what the hell is that? Puts a counter on each creature with a counter? Yeah. Alright, that's annoying. We can declaration it, or we can imprison it in the moon. One or the other. Both of them give him an advantage to a certain degree. We could Angelic Purge, actually. Yeah, let's Angelic Purge it, and let's get rid of the tapped planes. Get in for 4 more, and then plus Jace again. Alright. We're not doing too bad. We don't have life gain at all, though, so we have to bear that in mind. Because he is a drain deck, so he is eventually going to be able to drain us out. So I think maybe... Oh, Sorin. No, 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 no. You can't have a Sorin. That would involve draining our life away. We can't be having that. Alright. I think it's fairly safe to get out the docent now. Yeah, let's do it. If it does get removed, then we have other Jace to get us some card advantage, and we still have removal. Yeah, continue playing. We've got him. It's always satisfying to know that an opponent has left the game at 28 life or more. We've beaten them with more than their starting life total. Campaign of Vengeance. Whenever a creature you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. I have to bear that in mind. Okay. That is a land. It's not what we want to see. We could minus Jace to get an instant or sorcery card. There isn't one that we want to cast just yet, so we will plus Jace again and get in for 9. Start getting in some serious damage. Sweet. Harry Potter will rise up and destroy all. The life-draining Voldemorts of the world. Alright, always watching. Useless as long as he has no creatures, which he shall continue to do. Comparative analysis is nice. Might as well cast it now. Gets us a token. We draw 2 cards. We get some more mages. Some more wizards. Let's plus Jace again. This is an AI, so I don't have to feign any sort of counter spells, because it doesn't take it into account. Get in for 9 again. Next turn we can flip the docent, no matter what we draw, because we can minus Jace. So we minus Jace, just because. Do a comparative analysis. Draw some more cards, get some more tokens. All of our wizards get flying. And we swing in for more than lethal. Wunderbar. Yeah, loving this deck now. It's doing so much better than it was. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for today. So if you've enjoyed the content, then make sure to leave a like. If you've loved it and have not already subscribed, do so immediately. And if you're not quite sure, stay for the end card, see the rest of the content we've got to offer. As always, I'll see you later. Bye bye.